to number 10, the supremacy of love. We believe that love is the key. Without love, all of our gifts, all of our knowledge are meaningless. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 makes it pretty clear. Paul said, though I speak with the tongue of men and of angels, but have not charity or love, I become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. Love is the greater way. Love is what Christ has for us to experience and what he wants us to share with those around us. Again, the first Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, California, in the 1960s, reached out to the countercultural hippies. They had flocked to Southern California, and I think Calvary Chapel has been reaching out to the disenfranchised ever since. Some have called this the island of misfit boys and girls. And yet we see people who aren't accepted become accepted. We see people who aren't loved being loved. And so Jesus taught us that people would know we're his disciples by our love for one another. And we want to have that love. We want to be his disciple, right? Jesus said that this love that he would give us would overflow, and that those around us would know that we're his disciples by our love for one another. And so we want to make sure that we're allowing the Spirit of God to work in and through us, that people could sense there's something different about you. You're a very loving person. You're a very gracious and kind person. And so love is the supreme desire that God has for us. And it's essential that we demonstrate that love in our actions and our attitudes and also in our lives. And so we want to treat people the way that we want to be treated, right? We want to imagine ourselves in their shoes so we can best minister to them. Now, we believe the Bible is very clear that sin needs to be repented, right? We believe that we need to confess our sins to the Lord and receive his forgiveness. And sometimes we have to do the hard thing and speak the truth in love. But we also need to do that in a way that is loving, right? People are not always going to remember what we said, but they'll remember the way that we said it. They'll remember how we treated them as we were saying it. We recognize that Jesus was moved with compassion for the people. And I think we want to have that same compassion, that same love and action. Jesus saw the needs of the people, and we should strive to do the same. You recall the story of the Good Samaritan. There were those religious leaders that saw a man in need. Instead of helping him, they passed on by. And the hero of that story is the Samaritan, the person that the Jewish people despised. Yet he was the one who cared for him, bandaged him up, and took him to an inn and paid for his stay. And when Jesus asked the religious leaders, which of these men was a neighbor to him? Which of these men loved him? The religious leader couldn't even say the Samaritan. He said, the one that took pity on him, the one that showed compassion. And Jesus said, go and do likewise. And so we want to live that out. We want to be people who live out our faith and love those around us, to be like a good Samaritan.